basically C6, and I believe most other networking organizations are like that. Our mission is to enhance, to enable all the job seekers and those who are career transition to enhance their chance of landing the new dream job by providing them with workshops, tips, and networking, and also putting them in contact with hiring managers. In the nutshell, that's what we try to do. And in a nutshell, that's what most networking companies, networking organizations are trying to do. We have several SIGs, and we'll get to that later on, special interest groups. And we've been inviting speakers to come to our meetings. These are experts, life coaches, career coaches. They come and talk to these people about how to be upbeat, motivational speakers, financial speakers, and mainly resume writers and interview tips. And also some HR people come from different companies, talk to our members as do's and don'ts of resumes or interviewings, what to do, because most of these people have been out of job for so long. Or they've been out of practice, if I should say. Some people have worked for the same company for 15 years, 20 years, and now all of a sudden they're out of job.
I can't tell you how many people that I have coached have told me that they have never interviewed for a job until this period of time came up.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, this is something foreign to them. They haven't done this, and they're out of practice. So we felt that it's good to bring some coaches to help people with their skills. And that's what C6 is doing. And what we did also at the same time, we partnered with many other local networking organizations. There was a Calibre Church Networking, there was Wednesday's Jobs, and there were many other networking around this area. So we staggered our meeting times so we could send our people to different places. The more networking, the better.
Oh, really? So okay. So let's talk about networking in general. First, I'd like to ask you the benefits of networking and then some tips you might have for it. So let's talk about the benefits of networking.
Well, the biggest benefit of networking is that you get to know the person. You get to know, it's a lot easier to remember someone who you've talked to, you know their background, you had lunch with them, kind of became friends. So it's a lot easier to remember that person when you found a job that may be suitable for this person. Now remember, you know this thing better, that more than 80% of jobs are filled through people that you know. Newspaper ads, magazines, internets, headhunters, all the other combination make 20% of all jobs being filled. 80% or better are coming from networking. Believe it or not, in many cases it's who you know, not necessarily what you know that can get you the job. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So it's important to be networking, it's important to be connected, it's important to stay current with other people, get to know people. And C6 is a good example. Calibre Church is another good example. CPC in Danville is another good example. These are all places that offer networking. You get to meet other people, you get to meet hiring managers. In case of C6, as I mentioned, now we have HR of different companies come to C6 and they're ready to hire people right at the moment. So if you know someone, if you are connected, it's a lot easier to land a job, to bypass all this other paperwork.
Okay, so how about some tips for somebody's out there saying, okay, how do I get started networking? Besides obviously joining C6 if they're in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right. So remember, the tip about networking, there's just one simple rule. It's called give and take, in that order. Don't ever approach anybody trying to ask for something before you're willing to give something. Always be able to offer something, then ask for help. Many people forget about that. It's just like you go network, my name is Hamid and here's my resume. It just doesn't work that way. It's just not, it's kind of scare people away. So if you're willing to offer some help and then ask for how, can you help me in this one, it's a lot easier to make things move. The other one is that don't be shy. It's one big factor. I can't emphasize on that. People go to networking. Remember, when you go to networking, all the other 200 people who are in this forum are in there for the same reason that you are there for. They are there to network. They are there to know you, and you are there to know them. Most people, especially if you're not in sales and marketing or some HR, that by nature you're outgoing people, for most technical people, it's kind of difficult to be outgoing. It's difficult to take the first step to say hello. But you have to get over that. In order to get over that, you have to start with smaller meetings, smaller groups, 5, 6 people around yourself. Introduce yourself. Say, this is my background, and this is what I do, and by the way, what do you do? and how can I help you? And just practice and then keep growing and keep growing. At some point, it becomes in nature. You got to do the networking. You got to start taking advantage of that. One other thing, business cards.
Yes.
It's amazing how many people go to a networking event.
I know.
And they say, my name is Steve, and let me just grab a piece of paper. I want to write your name on it. That piece of paper is not going to cut it.
Right.
You need to have a business card. Nowadays, you can print business cards at home. You can go to local copy shop. You can go to Vistaprint, and there are many places you can get.
Yeah, we should emphasize that Vistaprint.com. The cards are just shipping and handling, so it's not bad at all, right?
It's free. I use it all the time. And you just pay for shipping and handling, very small fee. And you get business cards all the time. But you can put your skill sets in the back of the business card.
Oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah.
And your name and your background and your skill sets. And it's easy to carry. It's easy. You don't have to carry a big resume. People don't like to read resumes. It's lengthy. But at least if they're interested in you, you give them a business card, they can make a note on that, and you do the same thing with people. Put in your pocket when you go home. You have something to go back and start looking.
So for the shy people, you'd say just go in a smaller group first. Maybe, in fact, there's a concept of a success team, right? A group of people smaller group of people that meet together and each of them talk. Exactly. Maybe that would be a way to start.
Excellent. That's an excellent start, because you got to start. We know that some people, it's just not their nature. We have many people who are excellent code writers. But they just don't want to go introduce themselves. And a good example of, since you brought it up, a success story from C6, and that's on our website as well, was one of our hardware engineers. It was difficult for him to go anywhere else. He would always come sit at the same table, same desk. And one day we heard that he landed a job. So I asked him to come back and tell us how he landed a job, what happened. And he said that he went to a networking event, I guess was one of the mechanical engineering something, networking, and he sat next to his friends. Then he realized something's wrong. He got up and changed his table, went somewhere else. People, none of them knew him. And he sat by those people. And he started telling them about what he does and asking people what they do. And the guy next to him says, what do you do again? You're a hardware engineer? They said, yes, I'm doing this, I do this. They say, well, you work on this type of project? They say, yes. Can you tell me about your background? So they start talking. The guy said, by the way, here's my business card. I have an opening.
So he finally opened up. And
so I have an opening. Could you come to my office and then we can talk more? And he landed a job. And he came and told us the story of this success story because he was a very shy guy. And that story is now in our success stories, in our resources, sitting where they're
give your website again so we know.
It's www.csix.org.
Okay, csix.org.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've brought along some tips on landing jobs, and I thought what we would do is we'll show the audience this graphic.
Sure.
And then maybe I'll read out the bullet points and you can comment about some tips for landing jobs. Okay?
Sure, great.
Okay. So, career transition tips. The first thing you say is to stay connected.
Right. That's again, 80% or better of jobs are through people that you know. It's amazing how many times we hear about somebody who was standing in line to pick up their child from school, start talking to the next parent, and that's how they got a job. You got to be connected with other people. You go to all different organizations, go to networking organizations. If you look at local paper, they would tell you all about networking. Go to any networking organization, like C6. There's a resource site. You go to click on the resource link, and you will be faced with many other networking organizations that you should go. People, if you're not working, you should be networking. That's the trick.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, and I also encourage my clients to bring up the fact that they're looking like when they're standing in line, and maybe instead of talking about the weather,
exactly.
They say, how's it going? You say, well, I'm in transition. That takes a little courage, but you encourage them to do that.
It does. In fact, you brought up a good point, because most people don't feel that they want to tell others that I'm not working, because that may not sound too good. I mean, but that's how you get started. I'm in transition. You bring it up. And you just never know. That person may have the job that you're looking for, or they may know of someone who has a job. Again, within the last 5.5 years of working at C6, it's amazing stories that come to me of people, how they landed jobs. It's amazing.
Well, the one you told about the guy that just sat at a different
That's
table.
one of them, right.